What's up guys, Phantom here with episode 8 of my F1 2019 career mode as we are going to circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Canada for round 7 of my F1 2019 career mode.
Welcome again then, and we hope you're ready for another fantastic session as the teams prepare to unleash their cars for qualifying at the Canadian Grand Prix. When it comes to getting lap time out of this circuit, it's traditionally been about maximising top speed. Do you simply remove as much downforce as possible, hang on into the corners and max out down the straights?
The teams will have arrived with all manner of parts designed to capitalise on the long straights. The cars will be that much harder to drive in the corners, but everyone will be in the same boat.
As we start in Q2, we easily got out of Q1 as we go a little bit deep into the final chicane. As we are looking to get into Q3 here at Canada, going through turn 1 and turn 2 complex here. We enter the final chicane here, a little bit, tiny bit deep, but not too bad. As we run to the finish line, we are going to be P6 ahead of Hulkenberg there. As we are P12 now at the end of the session, as we need to get ahead of Stroll and who's ever in 10th to get there. As we enter the final chicane, we take it probably as best you can take it. We got right up against the wall of champions there, as we are barely going to improve, but that is going to be good enough for P10 at the end of the session. We are going to make it by 7 thousandths of a second over Raikkonen to make it into Q3. As we start out here in Q3 towards the end of the session, we have not set a lap yet, and Hamilton is on provisional pole. So we go across the line to start a flying lap into turn 1 here. Just keep it tight for turn 2, kind of went a little wide there as we go towards the end of the lap. As we kind of cut the chicane a little bit as we fly and keep as close as we can to the wall. And we were going to be P5 but end up P6 as Bottas got ahead of us at the end, barely. But it is to date our best qualifying results of the year as we are heading to the race.
We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to a variant of this track back in 1978. It was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. With top speeds of around 210 miles per hour heading into the overtaking opportunity of turn 13, the 2.7 miles of the circuit Gilles Villeneuve are some of the quickest on the Formula One calendar. There are 14 corners in total, with 60% of the lap taken at full throttle, and average lap speeds clock in at about 130 miles per hour. With the Grand Prix nearly upon us, Anthony Davidson is by my side once again to offer his perspective. Let's have a chat about McLaren. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Bottas, a Haas and Ricciardo, Perez, Hulkenberg, Weber and Kimi Raikkonen, Norris, Stroll, Charles Leclerc and Butler, Albon, Fiat, Roman Grosjean, and Antonio Giovinazzi. Russell and Robert Kubica takes the last spot on the grid, and with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
As we sit on the grid here, we start in P5 because of Leclerc's penalty. And lights are out as we get a good initial launch and we start to pull a little bit on Bottas, but we're going to be actually hit by Perez there, which I think we were 3 wide. And then Bottas is going to give us the squeeze there, and we're going to lose all torch of momentum, so we went a little defensive there. And turn 4, as we go through the long right-hander, and then through this pretty weird exit of a chicane. It's pretty weird, as Perez is going to get a very good run, and we're going to force him to go around the outside as we go a little bit deep into that chicane there that used to have grass as the right there instead of runoff. Let's go into the hairpin. We go really deep, which is going to kind of leave us exposed down the straight here, as Perez with that Mercedes engine is going to get a good slingshot passes, as well as Weber's. We kind of get in the slipstream, and Weber just went the other way around. It doesn't seem like we have the horsepower to keep up with anybody this race, as we kind of dive down the inside, but we think better of it. As we come to the back straight of lap 2 here, as Ricciardo's going to get a very good run down the back straight here, and we were just not quick at all down the straights. I don't know what it was. Our engine and stuff were pretty darn worn, like around 40-50% around this as he got around us, but we were going to go around the outside here at turn 1, and we were going to make a stick as he was pretty slow on that apex, and it's going to lose out at the exit of turn 2. But as we come to the middle straight, the back straight, I don't know, we would want to call this straight right here, as we make him go to the outside. We went deep, but it was able to keep it there as we're going really wide, trying to keep him out of our slipstream, as we're just trying to keep him behind us, as he's just able to swoop around the outside again. And we're going to have to give up on this, but we kind of cut the corner, as we were kind of quick down that straight, but we weren't quick down this straight at all, as we're right behind him, and we are just like, we're not exactly in a slipstream, but we are not really gaining on him that much. We're forcing him to go a little bit defensive into here, as this straight we were pretty quick down for some reason, as we're gonna go to the inside of him down into turn 1 here, kind of force him out. As we come to the back straight here, as we are going in the pits, as Ricciardo is really getting on us, but it doesn't really matter as long as he doesn't pull in front of us, as we're able to barely get it slowed down there, as we actually probably lost a second or two in that, as we come into the pits here. It's going to be a 2.9, which is really slow, really slow. It's probably been the slowest it's been all season, as we're going to come out in dead last here as we come on the lap 7. So we come on the lap 8 of, we're going to pass all the cars here, at least some of them, not a lot actually, as Leclerc is going to end up being only a few seconds behind us, as a lot of teams decided to go for mediums as their first stint, as Leclerc is here now on the back of us, and we're just going to kind of let him go through because he's so much quicker than us down the straight, as this big cluster of, it looks to be the Williams, Weber, and Perez here, as we're going to see if we can pick some places here as we go really wide and then cut back out of turn 2 here, as we get a little bit of a run, as we're going to kind of dive it down the inside here of turn 3 or 4. I don't know exactly which corner this is, but as we're able to take both Leclerc and Weber as he's fighting back into the hairpin, we're going to dive up the inside of Russell here as Perez is working on Kubica, as we are in P9 right now. So come down the front stretch as Roman is in the pits, as there's 3 cars right behind us, and Leclerc's gonna kind of dive down our inside, and I didn't really want to make contact with him, so I kind of went straight on at the chicane there, as he's really just hounding us. He's kind of putting his nose down the inside, but he's not really committing down there. He's like putting his rear wheel against our front wheel, his front wheel against our rear wheel, as we kind of force him out there in the hairpin, as Weber got ahead of him. As now we're going to go against Weber, as we even have DRS, and he's just going to fly past us, as Leclerc's going to also come sweeping through here, as we kind of all met at the same point there. I kind of ran in back of Weber, and Leclerc was down our inside there, as we're going to force him to go around the outside, as Weber and Perez kind of held each other up, as we're going to try to go around the outside. But we really weren't that quick at all this weekend around the straights. Even though I had pretty low wings on. I had like maybe 2-3, as Perez just put us in the wall there. That's the one thing, is the AI have no self-awareness at all. As we're going to try to go a little bit defensive, as Butler, who got knocked out in Q2, and as he started actually behind Leclerc, he started in 13th, went past us. As we head down the back straight here, as Butler's getting and Leclerc are getting a run on Perez here, as they're going to slow each other up, so I'm going to try to cut back here, and we're going to go 3 wide, and Leclerc's just pushing me, like continuously pushing me, and I kind of had enough of it and kind of just went wide in the turn 1 here, as we're 3 wide here, and he just, again, no awareness. Like, he's turning left, and as we're making a right here, like, he has no self-awareness, these AIs. It's one thing, like, I don't like the old games where they would give up within a second, but, like, he's just turning left right into me like I wasn't even there. As Hulkenberg is out of the race on lap 16 here, as we were coming down the back stretch. We were able to pull away a little bit from that group there, as you can see, as Hulkenberg was in that match. There were 7-8 cars in that group. There was a ton of cars in that group, as he pulls off here at the back straight. As on the final lap, Leclerc finally got away from that group, and he was charging me down these 2 laps, as Lewis Hamilton will win the Canadian Grand Prix for probably the 15th or 100th time there, as we're going to finish 6th.
Great drive. We're really happy with that performance.
That's it for another Grand Prix, and a fantastic win for Mercedes. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today. So let's review the updated driver standings. After an incredible performance, Lewis Hamilton secures the top spot in the Drivers' Championship. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
It has to be said, Roman Grosjean certainly had my eye today. He made impressive gains during the race.
Let's move on to the constructors. Mercedes moved to the top of the table. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.